Be better than the Kavanaughs. Talk to Major now. I'm not, that's not a sales pitch. I'm telling you, it's changed our world. If you're waiting until you have to look into being a broker, it's going to take too long and you're passing up way too much money. I've called you and said, how do you do this? Or what person would you look at for that? And it's gotten to where we talk less and less. Without your leadership, I think we would have been really lost.
People think that originators come to the broker side so you can make more money. Not true.
9 days, like I was just completely blown away. Pricing I couldn't touch, closing way faster than I knew what to do with. I'm like, wait, we're ready already? Anything that happens, there are multiple people waiting to help you get it fixed. I didn't have it quite that well on the other side. I've talked to other loan officers who were with Edge who don't have a major, and it's a major difference.
Welcome to another episode of Major Money Matters. Today we have my good friends, colleagues, fellow mortgage brokers, Matt and Alicia Kavanaugh from New Brunswick,
That's right,
Texas.
NB.
What do you guys call it down there, Matt?
Yeah, would you say NB? We're from NB. That's right. Yep.
NB. That's what all the
people have a
is.
problem saying New Brunswick, and I even say it with a little bit of an accent, and so everybody has challenges. So just NB is the easiest way to do it. Yep.
So I'm even pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah. So say it, Alicia, the way you say it.
New Braunfels.
New Braunfels. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you did great. You did great. Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. South Texas.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. Right outside of San Antonio. So you guys were on the retail side, made a transition to the broker side. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, your experiences, where you were in business, and stuff like that. So let's start off with this. You guys are married. How long you guys been married?
Going on 10 years next month.
10
Perfect.
years. Yep.
Awesome stuff. Now you guys also have children.
A few, 6 total. Yeah, from 27 down to 9 years old. Yep.
Perfect. I recommend you find another hobby. This could keep you poor for a long time.
I'm not giving it up. Can't do it.
Awesome stuff. So you guys were at a very large retail lender, and you were running your business there. For all intents and purposes, a pretty successful team that you guys were running. You guys were doing a good amount of volume there. Where had your business gotten that you were kind of looking for something different?
I think that we had been sort of doing all the right things, if you will, communicating well. We had a very good business blueprint that we followed. We've been highly coached throughout the years. I've been doing this since 2008, tons and tons of loans. Anyway, and we got to a point where we were doing all of the right things, but we ran our own P&L. And at the end of every month, we had done loans and we had excitement in the market, but we weren't making any money. And really, that's what it came down to, is when we got to where not only were we not making money, but we owed our current company money as we're doing good business. Wow. It was just very it was a head scratcher. We're like, how can we keep going down this road, not making money while working as hard as we had worked in the past? Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot. And you see that, we would think that that's uncommon. Or that, but we know that is pretty common. Yes. People are running, they have, I used to get impressed when I saw the word branch manager, not as much anymore.
Yeah.
Because really doesn't take that much to be one.
Yeah.
And also, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're profitable as an originator if you are, a branch manager. It's kind of just a corporate position. Did you bring up some of these concerns to your previous retail company? Was this a conversation that you guys had, or were they saying, hey, just keep producing?
Yeah, really, that's what the answer to any problem was. And first of all, the first thing I want to say is amazing company, great leadership. Just anytime you had something you need help with, they were always there. Worked for a few different retail banks, and overall, the best at all things. And so I don't want to make it sound like there were any complications with that side of it. If I said, hey, I need this, or can you help me with that? They would try to jump in and explain. But at the end of the day, it was just a gigantic company that had a lot of different things that they had to cover with your production. And so with changing numbers around, which seemed to happen pretty often, where we thought we finally got a hold of this P&L thing, and then something would change. And we're like, wait, so we're still not doing what we're supposed to. So anyway, after a few years of things changing more often than we could control, it got difficult.
So tell me, when you were on the retail side, were there things that you heard about the broker side?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest thing was no control and all your realtors will hate you.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah.
So no control, all your realtors will hate you.
Yes.
And was that something that kept you from making the jump or kept you from looking deeper?
Yeah.
But how did you take that?
Yeah, for sure. Because not only was it hinder, I wouldn't even go to the first step of trying to see what it was like because no matter, we're all salespeople, right? We're mortgage lenders. And so you can try to sell me on anything. And I think that if it wouldn't have gotten as hard as it was on the retail side, I still would have never looked into it. And even when I left my original company that I loved working for, that I worked for a long time, I went to another retailer. I never even would have thought to reach out to a broker and find out. And until I had to, which I would say that's a thing, man. If you're waiting until you have to look into being a broker, it's going to take too long and you're passing up way too much money.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's not just and we'll talk about what things have been like on the broker side. But did someone reach out to you? I remember you called me,
Yeah.
but somebody else reached out to you and said, "Hey, you should really look into this." Can you tell me, what that conversation was like? And then obviously you guys are married, you run your team together, and really, I mean, I really have admired how you guys run your team as a married couple. It's pretty amazing to watch in action, the things that Alicia does and the things that you do, Matt. I will tell you that Alicia is the brains of this thing.
Sure.
Matt,
I'm
I
just
don't
the
know.
looks. I'm just the looks. She's the
Yeah,
brain.
and you're not the best to look at. Probably better looking at her. But but I've admired that. So when you guys started having this conversation, you got that phone call. What was that like, and what was the conversation between you two about potentially looking at the broker side?
So I'll start with we made the phone call to someone. No one called us, and honestly, I think it was that we were seeing people who weren't doing as much business as we were, that were talking about being able to do loans that we couldn't do or we were saying no to, and then they would pick them up and close them. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like I'm looking for more deals to do, not less. And then pricing. Like every single time we went up against anybody, on the other side was a broker. If we went against retail, we were fine because I can talk my way through that. But if we were up against a broker, we were out every time. So it came down to there was a lady here in town that we knew very well and respected. And so we reached out to her, and that was the first conversation.
Yeah, so let's talk about that when you were on the other side. How frustrating was that? Especially, I know as originators, sometimes you're working with people, getting their credit up, and you think, I've got a solid relationship here. I've got a good relationship here. And then all of a sudden, you find out that they're talking to someone else, and you're just like, I was on the retail side and I was getting my butt kicked by brokers. And I was like, how are you even able to do that? Because, that doesn't even make sense that you can get that rate, at that cost or something like that. Talk about how you felt, in those times when you were, losing deals.
Yeah, I think just over and over, you just feel so defeated. And to the point where you can't really blame the client. Like, I mean, there were multiple times where it's like a point difference, and it's like, I can't touch that. And
Yeah.
if I were in your shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. And so when it starts to get really hard to sell your product, it's like, okay, should we be here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
on top of like it's the relationship too, because I'm a relationship lender. Like I
Yeah.
don't have general public calling me typically. It's my realtors. And so when the argument is, hey, I know that that's a better rate, but they're not going to close you on time. And then you find out, oh, they did close on time. Oh, that's, so all your things that you've been taught as originator that the broker side sucks, but they're closing deals and the clients are happy. And then your realtor comes back to you and what's happening, Matt? Like how can you keep explaining that over and over again while you're losing money? Yeah.
It's always interesting, the same arguments. And I'm like, as long as brokers have been around and as long as you have these retail lenders that are around, it seems that you would come up with different arguments. And it's amazing, those of us that come from the retail side, it's the same argument and the same talking points. They can't close on time. The broker side is this, and you don't have any control and you don't have any support. Let's talk about that. when you made the transition, okay, we'll come back to support in a minute. Talk about that phone call and what you did when you made the phone call out. Of course, you talked to someone and you were very transparent with me when you called me. You said, hey, we talked to this person. We looked you up. You're actually on the broker side. You're doing a lot of volume. And you're kind of, doing the volume that we're doing in units. Okay. Let's talk about that. And I remember being in Vegas and you called me up and I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, my name's Matt.
You were eating something. You're like, hey, what's up? I was making.
I was eating a burger, man. By the way, when we go back to Vegas, these burgers are amazing, man. So I'm going to take you to the burger spot I was at in Vegas. But you was like, hey, my name's Matt. Heard about you. Talked to this other person who happens to be at Edge Home Finance, our parent company. We want to talk about being a mortgage broker and how that works for you. And, tell me what's the good and the bad and indifferent. So talk about, how that transition went and that conversation.
Calling you was a matter of, we are big on leadership, and we thought that would be another thing that would be missing in the broker world. And so following somebody who does 1 or 2 loans a month or less than that would be difficult to do. And we thought if we're going to be interacting in this world, we have to find leaders who we can come behind, and not that tell us what to do every day. But I mean, there's been multiple times over the last year that I've called you and said, how do you do this? Or what person would you look at for that? And it's gotten to where we talk less and less. Right. But without your leadership, I think we would have been really lost. And I think right away we plugged in a few loans just to kind of test it. And we didn't even tell anybody we switched, like nobody. We went out and we don't call ourselves a company. We call ourselves the Kavanaugh crew. Yeah. And so there were people calling us, like title companies. Hey, this order is messed up. It says Edge Home Finance. Did y'all switch? So, but because we went in, and I think our first closing, we closed in 9 days. Got the clear to close in 9 days. Like, I was just completely blown away. Pricing I couldn't touch, closing way faster than I knew what to do with. I'm like, wait, we're ready already? And the support, I mean, I know you said we'll get to that, but anything that happens, there are multiple people waiting to help you get it fixed. I didn't have it quite that well on the other side. There were some things you could do, don't get me wrong. I don't want to make it sound like the broker side is easy. You got to know what you're doing. But there is a lot of support on this side. I was very surprised from the phone call, and you what I'll call loan officer selling me was actually happening once we brought deals over, which was I wasn't ready for that.
How about you, Alicia? Well, I mean, what were some of the concerns you had when you came over that you found out like this is a lot different than I expected?
Yeah, so we had built our team. I mean, it took us like 5 years to build essentially what we had in retail. Mm-hmm. And so we had total control, like CDs, we had built it to have the control we had so that we could do what we could do, right? And so when we met with the initial LO, I didn't have questions about pricing. I was like, no, I want to see systems. Like, what does the back end look like? Who do you call? Like, I had questions that she's like, oh, nobody's ever asked me this. I was like, yeah, because you're usually talking to LOs, not ops people, right? Yeah. I wanted to know like the nitty gritty, and like our CRM that we had moved over. That was a huge deal for us because we were really struggling with our CRM where we were before. And it just really streamlined the process of the transition. There were maybe a few things that I would have done differently, but overall, the transition was pretty seamless. And to the point to where there were multiple people who were like, I had no idea you moved. And we're like, yes, that was essentially the goal.
Yep, absolutely. You were going to say something, Matt?
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, the big thing, I'm not a recruiter personally. Like, I'm not looking to go have loan officers, but I have seen within Edge. Edge is a big house, right? And Edge can have support for you, but the difference for us was you. Yeah. Like, if we didn't have you to call on and the support system and being able to talk to your processors, like that still to this day is the one thing that really stands out about Edge for me is that you were a part of my Edge experience. I don't know. I've talked to other loan officers who were with Edge who don't have a major, and it's a major difference.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's not just me, it's the process and everything. Because I remember we had a Zoom meeting. I'm like, hey, you guys want to talk to the thing? Because if you're back to what me and Matt do, we're front end and a lot of things about processing. We know them, but really we don't know them. You could ask us a question. It's like, somebody else does that. So I remember having that Zoom meeting with your team. and having that conversation and being able for them to ask questions like, hey, what do you do when this happens? And, I don't want to, in all of these situations, it's been, I don't want to sidestep the support that our wholesale partners have given us, the UWMs, people like Christina Huron, being able to get on a call and stuff and say, hey, how does this work? And not only how does this work at UWM, knowing that other lenders may be one standard deviation away. And we say, hey, it works this way here, but over at this lender, it works this way. And, that's been amazing. Tell me about a deal that you've been able to close here that was incredibly difficult or challenging or had some weird situations that you may not have been able to get somebody into, a home, in that same situation. So I'll go one with Matt and one with Alicia, because I know you guys closed some deals. So I want to know a story from each one of you where you had somebody with, hey, we can do this now and we couldn't do it before.
I think it was one of deals in the first few months. It was a DPA loan through some random lender. I honestly don't even remember who it was. We could only do certain DPA programs like T-Shack. I mean, the normal ones, right? But this allowed us to get a little bit better rate and the max down payment assistance to where they could close. But otherwise it would have never closed ever. Wow. And we made full comp, which that would have never happened before.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll go, it's not that there's one loan that stands out. I think the difference, if you're on this side, is that you can do all of the crazy stuff. And just the fact that you can do all the crazy stuff makes it to where your realtor partners call you on everything instead of just some things, because there's nothing you can't do. But still, 99.999% of everything we do is your normal box stuff. Yeah. I know, Major, you do some different stuff, but as the Kavanaugh crew, we stick to our wheelhouse. When people ask us about commercial loans, can you do those? Yes, I can. Do I do them? I personally don't. Right. Can you do land? Can you do one-time construction? You can do all of those things. And being able to honestly say that to your realtor partners, where they call you for everything lending, that's the thing that stands out. I don't have to say we don't do that anymore like I had to for so many projects before.
And I think that's the thing that people sometimes miss. People think that originators come to the broker side so you can make more money. Not true. What it stands out for me is being a broker versus being, when I was personally on the retail side, is the service that I can offer the realtor. The way that you can figure something out. Like, they don't have to have 5 different people, because many realtors, they have I've got my investment person over here. This is my conventional loan person. This is my VA loan person. I have different people that do different things. On the broker side, we can figure out basically almost anything. And it's the ability to say to a realtor, hey, just send it to me and I'll figure it out. You don't have to trouble yourself with it. It's really a fantastic value proposition that you offer to your realtors. Because, seriously, back when you were losing deals, okay, because of pricing, if you lose a deal because of pricing and you're way off, your realtor's looking at you like, wait a minute, how do I keep sending you clients if your pricing is so far off? And honestly, if a realtor keeps doing that, I have to question the realtor, because you're asking your buyer to pay so much more for a mortgage when you're not really looking out for their best interest. So
we just had that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had a client, one of the other agents we work with, she had a listing and something came up and she just noticed that it seemed weird, the interest rate that they were putting on the contract. And so she called the buyer's agent and he was like, yeah, well, that's what my lender, it's his lender, said. And she said, you should really try the Kavanaugh crew. I think that's probably off. So he did. He told the client to call us. We were a point lower, literally a point lower in interest rate.
Wow.
And we saved him $3,000 as a veteran, right? And we weren't even cutting our pricing. It was very, very normal. And then he was like, well, maybe that's just a one-off. So he called his other buddy and had his buddy call us too. And we beat, I forget whatever the other lender was. And then so we went to lunch with him the other day and we were like, oh yeah, so how, we know the lender that he used to use. And how's he doing? Good. And he's like, who's your favorite lender now? And he's like, oh no, the Kavanaugh crew is my lender. Like, we get people because of, it's not just our systems, which are there, and our structure, which is there, all of that is expected, but now you team up system structure and great pricing.
Wow.
They literally call us. We don't call them.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about the future. What does the future look like for the cab crew? I have a great deal of respect for people who, broker or retail, you guys are you guys. I mean, yeah, we took maybe the broker side, puts your skill set into a Ferrari engine and said, hey, go forward and get you out of maybe a Ford. But and say, hey, let's roll. But you guys are you guys. You have such a heart for people and such a sincere disposition. What do you guys see as the future and continuing to grow your business?
So over the next few years, we will close 100 million in volume. We will give away a lot of money. And over the next 15 years, we plan to basically sow our business to our son. We have obviously a team we're building, keep it going and be able to kind of like a legacy thing. But long term, I think 15 years is really what we're looking to get in, sow some really good seed, get out, and then start investing like crazy, which we already do. But I think more heavy over the next 5 years so we can prepare for the 15.
And for me, I think that coaching is a big part of just my calling. And so as we understand more and more about the broker side, that's why I don't currently want to be a major. But as I'm understanding more and more how the side works and can really be, I'll say this: if I invited somebody to be a part of Edge and I couldn't support them the way that you supported us, I would feel like it's a disservice. And I've actually seen that again in the Edge world. Not saying anything bad about other hellos, but I want to understand more. Then once I have that understanding, then I do see recruiting other LOs, really helping them to become, to meet their full potential and coaching them up.
Perfect. Hey, man, I mean, I'm just honored to have you guys as a part of the team. You guys have such a great heart for your community, a heart for for the clients that you're helping, and a heart really to help people. So I'm honored to have you guys as a part of the team, a part of the Edge family, and glad that you guys are actually here and continuing to grow your business and showing what an amazing platform Edge Home Finance can be to people who are prepared for this opportunity. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do. And I look forward to watching you guys continue to grow your business and be a huge impact in your community. So
if you're waiting to become a broker, stop. Talk to Major. I'm telling you, don't be like us. We probably waited a year too long. I don't know, we would have met Major like we should have. But anyway, don't be the Kavanaughs. Be better than the Kavanaughs. Talk to Major now. That's not a sales pitch. I'm telling you, it's changed our world. It's been really good.
Congratulations, guys. Awesome stuff. Thanks for being on and thanks for sharing your story. All right. We'll see you guys next time on Major Money Matters. See you later, guys.